Actually, I had already built myself a mini CNC router a couple years ago. But those were old times. Now I want an upgrade. Designing my own CNC machine. Let's now briefly discuss the design and component choices that I made for this build. As for the machine basement, I used 3 steel beams welded together and filled with epoxy, while for the main frame I used 3 aluminum extruded C-beams 500mm each. All the plates in this build comes from a 5mm thick steel sheet. The stepper motors are 2A NEMA 17 and yes, they're pretty undersized, I know. For the Y-axis movement I used a Pulayan spacer system, while for the X-axis I went with the AGR20 linear rails. Then a bunch of other minor components. Z-axis with SBR12, T8 lead screws for all the axes, and a garbage Makita clone 700W DC router that I soon replaced with a 2.2kW induction spindle paired with a VFD controller. That's the way to go. The overall cost is estimated to be around 500 euros depending on the spindle choices. Building the machine itself took me quite some time since I don't have any crazy tool in my garage. Basically, I cut all the plates out of the steel sheet, then with terrible accuracy I punched and drilled a lot of holes, and I also did some terrible weldings. I also made lots of components with my 3D printer, and since PLA isn't stiff and rigid enough, I simply print the molds and then I fill them with doped epoxy. Using epoxy composites gives you a rigidity similar to the aluminum one. There is a lot of literature about epoxy composites and epoxy doping. For better mechanical properties, I mixed my epoxy with metal grits. And now a rapid time lapse of the assembly part. The assembly result is pretty stiff, but with the lead screws that I used I still get a lot of backslash. Originally, I also tried to use some PLA parts, but they weren't rigid enough and they got a lot of vibration, as you can see in the video. I replaced all of them with epoxy, no problem. Let's talk about electronics. The original design was, well, a little bit sketchy. As for the controller, I used the standard Arduino Uno's Chinese version with CNC shield and those terrible A4988 drivers. I do not recommend those. I kept burning until I got the RV8825, which are far superior. Then what I did was I designed a cabinet for the controller, providing as much ventilation as possible, and I upgraded to 24 volt the stepper power supply. The results that I got out from the machine are encouraging. I mostly mill wood, but I have no problem with aluminum as far as I choose a reasonable depth of cut and feed rate. made also lots of product with wood, and if you are interested, please check out the shop. Overall, I would say that I'm pretty happy with the results. Still, there's room for getting better. I'm looking forward to have many other upgrades, and I really thank you for watching.